Long before cities rose, the sky was alive with whispers. People looked upward and saw clouds, stars, and storms. They believed mighty powers watched from above. Among those powers, one name ruled the heavens: Zeus. His voice rolled like thunder, his presence shone like lightning, and in his hand he carried the Golden Thunder. It was not just a weapon. It was not a tool of fear. It was a radiant sign of order in chaos, of light-piercing shadow. Imagine standing on a mountain peak. The world stretches below you, silent and vast. Suddenly, the heavens break open with a golden flash. To the ancients, this was Zeus speaking. It was proof the sky was alive, not empty. It was a reminder that the gods were near. Tonight, we step into that world of wonder. We follow the tale of the Golden Thunder of Zeus, a story of wisdom, awe, and connection between sky and earth. So sit back, listen closely, and let the storm carry you into the age of myth. Before the Golden Thunder lit the heavens, the sky was quiet, not silent, but quiet in a way that felt unfinished, like a great stage waiting for its actors to arrive. The winds moved gently across the world. The clouds drifted, free and aimless. The stars shone, but they had no guardian. The heavens were vast, breathtaking, yet vulnerable. The ancients imagined this sky as a place without order, not chaos of destruction, but chaos of pure possibility. The earth was shaping itself with mountains and rivers. The sea stretched wide and restless, yet the sky remained unclaimed, untamed, and silent. Stories spoke of a kingdom without a king. Its light had no keeper. Its storm had no voice. To gaze upward was to face beauty, but without meaning. Still, the people believed balance would come. The universe, they said, always seeks harmony. Where there is sea, there must be a shore. Where there is night, dawn must follow. And so they waited for one who would bring order to the sky. This is where Zeus enters, not yet a ruler, not yet crowned with lightning, not yet mighty, but a destiny slowly unfolding. The winds carried hints of his rise. The earth murmured of change. The stars trembled as though they knew their keeper was near. Imagine standing in a small village long ago. Clay lamps flicker. Children gather close. Elders speak. Above you, the night sky stretches vast and untamed. You hear a story. One day, a power will claim the heavens. Not to bind it in chains, but to guide it. Not to silence it, but to give it a voice. The villagers listen with hearts stirred by hope. For the sky was more than weather, it was fate. Storms could harm, but they could also bring life. Stars could mislead, but they could also guide. What they longed for was harmony, not control. A bond between heaven and earth. Zeus's role was not to create the sky. His role was to shape its song, to guide its rhythm, like a conductor leading an orchestra of clouds and light. But before he rose, the sky remained waiting. Night stretched endlessly, full of stars, but without story. Days passed bright and warm, but without order. The winds wandered, playful but restless. The rains fell, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel. The people wondered, what if no voice came? Would storms forever remain aimless? Would lightning forever be silent, without meaning? Yet waiting was part of destiny. A seed must rest in soil before bloom. The ancients believed time itself carried wisdom. The sky before the thunder was anticipation. A canvas without color. A song without words. A harp without a player. Beautiful, yes, but incomplete. The people gazed upward and felt something stirring. The air seemed heavy, as though it carried a secret. The clouds seemed full, as though waiting for a spark. The horizon seemed alive, holding its breath. This was the world before the Golden Thunder. A sky restless, an earth listening, a people dreaming. And soon, though none could imagine how, their waiting would end. Destiny was walking among them, and the sky was about to find its voice. When the world was young, the story of Zeus began. His tale did not start in triumph, nor in thunder. It began quietly, in shadows of fear and secrecy. For though Zeus would one day rule the heavens, His earliest moments were fragile. The ancients told of Cronus, father of gods and men. He was powerful, stern, and afraid of losing what he held. A prophecy whispered that one child would rise against him. And so Cronus lived in fear of his own family. Each time a child was born, he acted to keep his throne. But destiny cannot be silenced. Rhea, the mother of gods, longed for her children to live. With each birth, her heart ached. When Zeus was born, her grief turned into resolve. She would not surrender this child. She chose courage. And with courage came hope. In secret, Rhea carried her newborn far from Cronus's sight. The winds wrapped around her like protectors. The earth opened paths before her, as though guiding her steps. At last, she reached a cave on the island of Crete. There, surrounded by shadows and silence, she hid her child. The myths say he was guarded by nymphs, spirits of the earth. They fed him with honey, sweet and golden. A sacred goat, Amalthea, nourished him with her milk. Warriors, the Curetes, danced outside the cave. They struck their shields in rhythm, masking the child's cries with music. Here, in the quiet cradle of the earth, Zeus grew, not yet a ruler, but a child cradled by nature. The rustle of leaves became his lullaby. The stars at the cave's mouth became his nightlight. The hum of bees and streams became his first lessons in harmony. What is striking is not only the danger he escaped, it is how he was shaped by these early years. He was not born in a palace of marble. He was not raised with riches or crowns. He grew strong under the care of earth and sky. The very forces he would rule became his guardians and teachers. Imagine that hidden cave in Crete. The air cool, smelling of moss and stone. The sea whispers beyond the shore. The laughter of nymphs carries in the breeze. Inside, a child lies in warmth, his eyes bright. No thunder in his hand yet, no crown on his head. And yet, in that stillness, destiny takes root. Greatness often begins humbly. A spark is small before it becomes a flame. A stream is gentle before it becomes a river. So too, Zeus was fragile before he was mighty. His childhood was a story of care and survival. Rhea's courage, Amalthea's care, the Curetes' dance each shaped him. Every act of love gave him strength. Every lesson from nature gave him wisdom. These were the foundations of a ruler, not carved in stone, but woven from kindness and care. As Zeus grew, the cave became too small. His gaze turned outward, to the sky that called him. He felt the pull of an inheritance, not of gold, but of purpose. He belonged to the heavens, though he did not yet know how. The people who told this story understood something timeless. Even the greatest ruler begins as a child. Strength is not only in thunder, but in survival. Power is not only in command, but in patience. Destiny is not only in crowns, but in choices of love. Thus, the birth of Zeus was more than a beginning. It was a promise. The smallest life, nurtured with care, can grow into legend. The child in the cave would one day rise to shape the skies. The Golden Thunder was not yet his, but already the heavens were waiting. Every legend has a turning point. For Zeus, it came with the gift of the Cyclopes. The Cyclopes were ancient, older than most gods. They were known for their single eye and their craft. Masters of fire and stone, they shaped wonders beyond mortal hands. Their creations carried power that echoed through eternity. When Zeus grew strong, he sought not only power, but purpose. To guide the sky, he needed more than courage. He needed a symbol to mark his place among the gods. He needed a bond with the heavens themselves. The Cyclopes, deep in the earth, forged this gift. Their forge glowed with fire that never dimmed. Sparks leapt like stars with each strike of the hammer. The sound of metal was thunder rolling underground. They worked patiently, weaving fire, stone, and light. What they created was not just a weapon. It was an emblem of harmony, a bolt of golden thunder. It shimmered with radiance, not destruction. It was dawn breaking through storm clouds. It was the warmth of the sun captured in a spark, placed in Zeus's hand. It became a promise that the sky's wildness would be guided. The Cyclopes gave it with reverence. They said it was not a tool of war. It was a voice of the cosmos. With this, they might have said, You will speak for the heavens." Zeus lifted the golden thunder for the first time. The sky seemed to awaken at his touch. Clouds swirled with color. The winds hushed. A spark flickered across the horizon. It was as if the heavens had chosen him. For the people, the thunder carried meaning. To farmers, it was rain for their fields. To sailors, guidance through stormy seas. To poets, inspiration that lit the soul. The gift was more than power. It was strength joined with purpose. Without purpose, strength is wild. Without strength, purpose is fragile. The golden thunder united both. Imagine Zeus holding it in his hand. His eyes reflect its glow. The cave shines with golden light. For the first time, he feels the sky within him. Every cloud, every star, seemed to whisper his name. This was no ordinary gift. It was forged to guide, not conquer. To protect, not destroy. It gave Zeus the voice of the heavens. The ancients believed storms still carry that memory. Every flash of lightning is the first spark reborn. Every roll of thunder is not just noise, but language. It is nature speaking with the voice of Zeus. And so people listened when storms gathered. Some feared, others prayed. But all looked upward. They believed the thunder was the echo of that gift. The Cyclopes had given Zeus more than a symbol. They gave the world a voice in the sky. A golden voice, fierce and gentle. A voice that still speaks in every storm. The story of Zeus is not only about power. It is about awakening. The moment when the heavens, once silent, began to answer to him. After receiving the golden thunder, Zeus stood at the edge of change. The boy once hidden in a cave was now a young god. He was ready to test his bond with the sky. The ancients imagined this as a meeting, not a battle. Zeus held the thunder and felt its warmth. It was not cold or cruel. It was alive. The sparks shimmered like they breathed with him. It was as if the sky itself had taken notice. When Zeus lifted the thunder high, the world paused. The trees stilled. The seas grew calm. The clouds parted, waiting. Then lightning flashed from his hand for the first time. It did not strike to destroy. It danced across the horizon like a painter's brush. It painted the sky with fire and light. The people believed this was the birth of storms. Before Zeus, thunder was only noise. Lightning was only fire. But with him, storm became language. Every flash, a message. Every rumble, a song. The sky itself had awakened, and Zeus was its voice. The awakening was not about dominance. It was about harmony. Thunder was strongest when it echoed the rhythm of the world. Rains fell gently on fields. Winds guided ships across seas. Clouds shielded the earth from burning Sunday. These were also his power. Zeus was not a ruler with a weapon. He was a guardian, a bridge between earth and sky. The ancients saw him on mountaintops. He watched storms gather. With a flicker of golden light, clouds found order. The storm was fierce, but never wild. It carried meaning, not menace. The awakening teaches that greatness is balance. Zeus did not silence the heavens. He let them speak through him. The poets told children, "Do not fear thunder. It is the sky telling its tale." Storms became sacred, not only feared. Farmers welcomed the rain. Sailors read the winds. Storytellers drew inspiration from the lightning. Zeus had become the voice of the elements. And in that voice, the world found comfort. Imagine Zeus on a mountaintop, golden thunder in his hand. Clouds swirl above him, heavy with rain. A flash cuts across the sky. The mountain glows with light. The air hums, alive with promise. The sky feels awake, aware, alive. The awakening was not cruel. It was steady and sure. As dawn breaks after night, so too his power bloomed. From this moment, storms were never the same. They carried wisdom and order. They carried the voice of Zeus. Every storm remembered the young god with golden thunder. The sky itself had answered his call. This was not yet his reign, but it was the beginning. The heavens recognized their master. Lightning became more than fire. Thunder became more than noise. The world knew Zeus would rule the skies. The awakening of the sky was more than his gift. It was a gift to the world. Through him, the heavens found their voice, and through storms, the people learned to listen. Every great story carries a prophecy, a quiet whisper traveling through time, guiding, warning, shaping destiny. For Zeus, prophecy was never far away. Long before he was born, it was spoken. A child of Cronus would rise one day. The whisper haunted Cronus's life. It told him power was fleeting. It warned him his children would inherit all he feared to lose. In fear, he swallowed his children. But prophecy cannot be silenced forever. Zeus had been hidden, nurtured, and now grown. The whisper of prophecy stirred again, not carved in stone, nor spoken from the sky. It moved in the way the world leaned toward him. The ancients said prophecy had many forms. A dream that lingers like mist at dawn. A star falling when no one expects it. The cry of an eagle at sunrise. The rustle of leaves in a sacred grove. Prophecy was not always a command. It was a reminder. A signal that destiny was moving. For Zeus, the whispers were everywhere. When he lifted the golden thunder, when he stood beneath the awakening skies, when he walked the earth and felt its hum, he sensed something beyond himself. The world told him, "You are not only born of prophecy, you are its answer." Rhea too heard whispers of destiny. She carried grief for her lost children. She carried hope for Zeus's survival. For her, prophecy was not only a warning, it was also a promise that her children would live again, that Zeus would stand as their protector. The poets saw prophecy as a thread, woven into the fabric of time. Cronus tried to cut it, but it grew stronger. Now the thread tied itself to Zeus's hand, to the thunder he carried, to the sky that had awakened. But prophecy is never simple. It does not promise ease. It hides the path and only reveals the end. For Zeus, this meant storms would come, not only in the skies, but in his journey forward. The ancients said Zeus listened closely, to the waves touching the shore, to winds carrying scents of distant lands, to murmurs of earth and fire deep below. Each sound carried a hint of prophecy, and Zeus listened. Prophecy promised he would rise, but it never said how or when, nor what choices he must make. It only promised his destiny was greater than fear. This is what makes the story powerful. Destiny is not only what is foretold, it is how we walk toward it. Zeus could have turned away. He could have hidden, thunder in hand, but prophecy stirred within him, a calling too deep to deny. And so we see him at a crossroads. Behind him, the cave of secrecy. Around him, the awakened skies and thunder. Ahead of him, the uncertain path of prophecy. A path where fear still waited, but where destiny shone brighter. The ancients said distant thunder is more than sound. It is the echo of prophecy, a whisper reminding us, destiny must be lived. And Zeus, with golden thunder, was ready to walk that path. Every destiny, no matter how bright, is not walked alone. Even the strongest of gods need voices, hands, and hearts beside them. Zeus, though gifted with thunder, could not face prophecy alone. The world itself seemed to whisper, "You must gather." His journey was not only one of power, but of kinship. His first allies were not strangers, but family hidden and waiting. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon remained swallowed by Cronus. Their sparks dimmed, but not extinguished. Each one was part of prophecy's promise. Zeus knew destiny meant freeing them. But before freeing his siblings, he needed strength. Strength is not only within it, comes from those who believe. The nymphs of the forest whispered encouragement. Amalthea, the goat who fed him, gave more than milk. Her horn would become the cornucopia, symbol of endless abundance. Even the smallest allies offered gifts of destiny. From earth came whispers of older powers, the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires. The Cyclopes, forgers of fire, hidden deep beneath stone. The Hecatoncheires, beings of vast strength, bound in silence. Cronus had imprisoned them out of fear, but Zeus sought them in hidden caverns of trembling air. He listened to the voices of the forgotten. The Cyclopes, grateful for courage, forged gifts beyond measure. Not only thunderbolt, but loyalty. When you give fire, you give part of your soul. The hecatoncheires, freed from chains, raised 100 hands skyward, a gesture of allegiance and hope. Though immense in power, they longed for a leader of spirit. In Zeus, they found that leader. Greatness does not stand alone. Even the mightiest vision is carried by many. Thunder was not only Zeus's voice, but the echo of belief. His circle grew, not by fear, but by trust. Not by force, but by shared destiny. Every ally carried prophecy forward. Imagine the gathering Zeus with golden thunder in hand. Around him, beings of fire, forest, earth, and sky. Not a gathering of conquest, but of harmony. Together, they formed the first chorus of the future. Yet destiny waited beyond reach. His siblings remained swallowed in Cronus' shadow. Allies were not just comfort, but courage. With them, he could face the heart of prophecy. This moment was one of community. Not power over others, but power shared together. Zeus's true strength was in the hands reaching for his, in the voices that said, "We will walk with you." The gathering of allies became his foundation. For storms, battles, and choices yet unseen, prophecy whispers in thunder, but never through one voice alone. Together, they prepared to shape the world. The sky has always been a mirror of destiny. When it darkens, we feel sorrow. When it clears, we breathe hope. When it thunders, we know something stirs beyond sight. For Zeus, the sky was more than a backdrop. It was his companion, his canvas, his voice. When he lifted the golden thunder, the heavens trembled. Lightning rippled not in destruction, but in recognition. It was as if the sky itself was waking. The awakening was not sudden or loud. It rose slowly, like dawn breaking over a restless horizon. Clouds shifted in new patterns. Stars shone brighter in the dark. Winds whispered with unfamiliar songs. Nature aligned itself with Zeus's presence. The world listened to gods through harmony, not words. When Zeus stood tall, the sky answered as an equal. Thunderclouds became companions. Winds became messengers. The light of dawn became a herald of change. Zeus was not only holding power, he embodied it. The heavens leaned toward him like an orchestra to a conductor. Mortals felt it too. Farmers paused when breezes carried scents of rain on clear skies. Sailors saw stars flicker in strange new patterns. Shepherds heard thunder rolling on cloudless nights. They whispered, "Something has changed." The awakening sky was more than awe. It was promise. Storms would now have meaning. Lightning was a message of order. Thunder became the sound of destiny alive. The poets said the sky reflected Zeus. Its vastness mirrored his vision. Its storms mirrored his resolve. Its light mirrored his hope. To look upward was to glimpse the young god rising. For Zeus, the awakening was comfort and challenge. The sky welcomed him, but it demanded much. To hold thunder was to carry responsibility. To command the heavens was to ripple across earth and sea. Zeus listened to winds racing ahead with whispers of distant lands, to clouds painting shadows on mountains, to stars whose silence spoke of endurance. The sky was not only a gift, it was a teacher. Here, Zeus was no longer only a hidden child, no longer just a bearer of thunder. He became something more, a presence the world itself acknowledged. The awakening sky gave him more than prophecy. It gave him a sense of eternity. It told him destiny was not silence. It was a symphony, and his thunder was one of its notes. Part 7 leaves us with harmony. Zeus standing with thunder in hand, eyes lifted. The sky stretched wide, alive with awakening. Winds carried songs. Clouds painted visions. Stars kept watch. For the first time, heaven and earth moved as one heartbeat. In that heartbeat, Zeus felt it. He was no longer walking toward prophecy. He was becoming it. The sky had awakened, but the earth was watching too, silent, patient, enduring. The earth had always been a witness. And in that silence, something began to stir. Beneath mountains, rivers, and valleys, voices whispered. They were older than wind, deeper than thunder. Not words, but murmurs, tremors, and subtle shifts. Zeus was attentive. He knew the world always spoke. The sky had given him thunder. The earth offered endurance. As he walked, the ground seemed to respond. His steps carried weight, welcomed by the soil. Farmers saw their crops rise taller after rain. Shepherds found greener pastures where his shadow passed. The earth was alive. The earth was listening. Its murmurs carried a quiet wisdom. The sky moved quickly. The earth endured patiently. Strength was not only in storms, it was in mountains standing through centuries, in rivers carving valleys with persistence, in seeds breaking open with silent growth. One evening, Zeus placed his hand on the ground. He felt vibrations slow, ancient, steady. The earth told him stories of time, stories of generations who had walked its paths, stories of resilience across ages. He realized destiny needs the earth as well. Without it, thunder had no place to fall. The sky may roar, but earth holds the stage. The murmurs deepened his understanding. Leadership was not only power, it was patience, a foundation to trust. Mortals felt it too. They sensed steadiness in the soil beneath their feet. Poets spoke of the hum of the earth. Children lay on grass, swearing it breathed. Farmers said seeds sprouted faster. Priests whispered, Zeus bridged heaven and earth. The murmurs gave Zeus balance. Without them, thunder was reckless. With them, thunder found purpose. Prophecy was not only in lightning, it was also in roots beneath soil. Destiny flowed above and below. So Zeus touched his thunder to the ground. The earth trembled in recognition, not fear. Lightning rippled across stone and soil. It awakened, not destroyed. Thunder now belonged to both sky and earth. That night, under starlight, Zeus vowed. He would honor the voices above and below. He would be guardian of balance. The mountains and valleys answered, not with words, but with a steady hum, a promise of endurance. The story of Zeus was no longer only thunder. It was harmony of storm and soil, of sky and earth. The murmurs of the earth had spoken, and Zeus had listened. The sky had spoken. The earth had murmured. Now, it was the sea's turn. The sea had always been restless, alive with motion. Mortals feared it, prayed to it, relied upon it. Gods respected its untamed heart. Now the sea watched Zeus with a voice of its own. The waves spoke in rhythm, not words. They sang in tides, in water meeting shore. To most, it was noise. To Zeus, it was counsel. The sea was restless, where the earth was steady. It hid treasures where the sky stretched wide. It reminded Zeus to flow, to bend without breaking. One morning, he walked along the rocky shore. Waves crashed against cliffs, spraying light. He lifted his hand, and the waters stilled, not in fear, but in greeting. The sea recognized him. Its lesson was change, not endurance. Every tide proved nothing, stayed the same. Every wave was both an ending and a beginning. The sea carried chaos and renewal together. Its motion was wisdom. Fishermen saw calm waters when Zeus passed. Storms broke into sudden clarity. Sailors spoke of brighter stars over the sea. At night, Zeus watched the moon's reflection. He knew the sea was vast, infinite in mystery. Its depths remained unseen, unknowable, yet powerful. It taught him humility. Even gods must respect the unknown. The sea shaped his thunder. It flowed like waves, rolling, connecting. Thunder echoed in harmony with tides. The Golden Thunder carried the rhythm of oceans. Mortals felt it too. Sailors prayed to Zeus before voyages. Villages sang to both waves and sky. Priests spoke of balance. Zeus now listened to the sea as well. The sea never bowed, never stilled. It remained restless, eternal, unpredictable. But it gave Zeus respect. Not silence, but recognition. When Zeus raised his thunder above the waters, lightning danced. It skipped playfully across the sea. The waves rose and fell in answer. Thunder found harmony with the deep. The counsel was clear. To lead is to adapt, to flow like tides, to bend like waves. Storms could renew as well as destroy. The sky gave vision. The earth gave patience. The sea gave adaptability. Together, they shaped him. Not only a god of thunder, but a god of balance. The sea kept singing. a song of motion and mystery, a reminder that destiny, like waves, never stops moving. The sky had awakened. The earth had murmured. The sea had counseled. But another force was waiting fire. Fire was not patient or vast. It was immediate, alive in a single spark. Mortals feared it, but also cherished it. It warmed their homes, lit their nights. For gods, fire was deeper creation itself. Zeus felt its call within his heart. Every strike of lightning was fire in disguise, light captured in motion. One evening, he climbed a mountain peak. Beneath the rock, embers pulsed like a heartbeat. The fire whispered with urgency. Burn, shine, transform, create. The lesson was transformation. Earth taught patience. Sea taught change. Fire taught rebirth. Nothing stayed the same in its presence. Branches became ash. Ash nourished soil. Soil gave birth to new life. Fire destroyed, but also renewed. Zeus saw his thunder incomplete without fire. Lightning was ignition. It sparked courage in mortals. It sparked vision in gods. Within him, it sparked a will to shape. Mortals felt the change. Hearth fires burned brighter. Torches glowed steadier in temples. Blacksmiths swore their forges rang with thunder. Fire deepened his resolve. Leadership was not only guiding, it was igniting. In mortal hands, fire was survival. In divine hands, it was destiny. The golden thunder pulsed with flame. Lightning ignited valleys and peaks with brilliance. Even stars flickered in rhythm. But fire also warned him. To burn too bright was to consume. To ignite too fiercely was to destroy. Balance was everything. Used well, fire was creation. Used poorly, fire was ruin. Zeus listened carefully. Each element carried gift and warning. Sky gave vision, warned of pride. Earth gave patience, warned of stagnation. Sea gave adaptability, warned of restlessness. Fire gave renewal, warned of excess. On the mountain peak, he raised his thunder. It glowed gold, red, orange, and white. Sky, earth, and sea answered. Fire roared within him, steady and fierce. Zeus was no longer only a storm bearer. He carried vision, patience, change, and renewal. The golden thunder was not just a weapon. It was a beacon, a light to guide and transform. Flames danced in his eyes. The fire within was not only his. It belonged to all who dared to rise. The fire had spoken, and Zeus had listened. The mountain was silent after fire's whisper. But silence was never empty. It carried the rustle of leaves, the sweep of air, the roaming of wind. Wind was the messenger of the world. It moved through valleys and seas. It whispered in mortal ears and carried prayers to the gods. It touched everything, yet belonged to nothing. Zeus felt it before he heard it. A soft stirring brushed his face and lifted his hair. It grew into a current, alive with motion. The winds circled him, testing his weight. Some were gentle as spring breezes, others fierce, biting like winter's edge. Together they formed a chorus, endless and alive. The voice of the wind was unlike the others. It shifted tones, teasing, solemn, playful. It carried many truths at once. Zeus listened with more than ears. The lesson of the winds was freedom, to move without chains, to shift when the path demanded, to embrace both wandering and direction. Zeus watched the wind sweep across the mountain. It carried seeds into valleys. It carved stone across centuries. It bent trees without breaking them. Its power was invisible, but undeniable. "You cannot be held," Zeus whispered. "You move, and the world moves with you." The winds laughed, whirling around him. Then they softened, brushing against his thunder. Their dance carried their gift. Strength was not always rooted. It could adapt, shift, and soar. As lightning leapt through air, so must he. His thunder was wind in motion. Mortals felt the change. Sailors spoke of guiding gusts, carrying them to shore. Travelers saw storms part before their path. Farmers found breezes spreading fertile palm. The winds were allies roaming free, yet answering Zeus. With each breath, Zeus felt lighter. His thunder no longer weighed heavy. It flowed and danced with the winds. He could strike with force, yet with grace. But the winds also warned him. They whispered of storms raging without end. They told of chaos when freedom lost direction. Without vision, winds could scatter all. Balance was key once more. Freedom needed purpose. Movement needed guidance. The winds circled him one last time. Then they lifted into the heavens, roaming as they must. Their lesson remained in his heart. Zeus stood taller on the mountain peak. He carried the gifts of sky, earth, sea, fire, and wind, each voice unique, yet part of a chorus. The Golden Thunder was not one force. It was harmony. Vision, patience, change, renewal, and freedom. The thunder glowed brighter in his grasp. Its light was balanced, radiant, alive. Mortals saw storms edged with calm light. They felt breezes guide, fires warm, seas nurture, earth hold. In it all, they felt Zeus present. The winds had spoken, and he had listened. He was no longer just king of the sky. He was becoming keeper of harmony, bearer of all voices. The journey was not yet complete, but the voice of the winds brought him closer. Closer to the true meaning of the Golden Thunder. The sky had spoken. The earth had spoken. The sea had spoken. The fire had spoken. The winds had spoken. Yet something remained. A final harmony waiting to be revealed. A truth not bound to one element, but born from all. Zeus stood upon the mountain with the Golden Thunder. It glowed like a living tapestry of every lesson. And still, there was silence. Not emptiness, but expectancy. Then he understood. The final voice was not one element. It was the chorus, the unity. From the sky he had learned vision. From the earth, patience. From the sea, adaptability. From the fire, renewal. From the winds, freedom. Each alone was a fragment. Together, they were a song. Together, they created balance. Zeus closed his eyes. He felt air swirl, ground steady, fire's warmth, water's cool, and sky's vastness. They did not compete. They completed one another. The Golden Thunder pulsed in his hands. For the first time, it was weightless. It no longer belonged to him alone. It belonged to the world, to every soul that looked to the heavens. Mortals sensed it too. Children lifted their eyes and saw light, not storms. Fishermen found calm seas after unrest. Farmers saw rains bless instead of destroy. Travelers walked under guiding breezes. The gods felt it as well. On Olympus, the air grew charged with harmony. The deities paused, hearing a silent song. The Golden Thunder was no longer a weapon. It was a bridge between heaven and earth, between mortal and divine, between chaos and order. Zeus saw his journey was not to claim power. It was to understand it, to shape it, to share it. He raised the thunder high. Its light spread in gold, blue, green, red, and silver. Colors of all elements danced together, unbroken. Mortals and gods witnessed harmony made visible. And they knew this triumph was not only Zeus's, it was theirs as well. Unity is not silence of difference. It is music when differences sing together. Zeus lowered the thunder. Its glow dimmed, but never faded. The elements now lived within him. The mountain grew quiet again. But this time, the quiet was peace. He knew storms would come again, challenges would rise, but the thunder was now a beacon. He was no longer bearer of storms. He was guardian of balance. The journey had shaped him. The lessons had transformed him. The unity had defined him. The tale of the Golden Thunder was not about striking lightning. It was about light shared across the world. A light of vision, patience, change, renewal, and freedom. A light that belonged not only to Zeus, but to all. The story whispered into eternity, carried by winds, carved into earth, reflected in waters, echoed in skies, and in mortal hearts, the fire of unity burned brighter.